it is mind-boggling how much just the money cannon can sway this level. Like the fact that this is like close by an hair shows exactly how much money still has unbelievable amounts of sway.
In 30 seconds, so we'll give you a quick read on how that works. And again, the minute we start getting results here in the Senate election, we're also going to be, well, let me stop talking because we're going to it.
Bro, don't abruptly stop, dude. What the f? That's crazy. Is he silent or was he silenced? Yeah, he was silenced. If someone in 2006
to the man, the myth, the legend, NBC News chief data analyst Steve Kornacki over at the big board. Steve, we know polls in 2 states just closed, plus a lot of polling locations in Michigan. They're closed down now too, so what's it looking like?
Yeah, well, right now we're looking at the blank map, but the anticipation, this is the hour where we start to find out, I think, Gotti, in this closely contested Senate race here, I think all eyes
We're going to be
on
leaving
this
soon, by the way.
Abdul
Level 15 hype train,
El-Sayed,
we're at
Haley
level
Stevens
12.
Here.
Get to level 15
look,
chat. What the are we
about
doing?
The future and the
Let's
direction
go.
within the Democratic Party. We've seen these candidates from the sort of the far left of the party having
Mallory's still in the race. She's on the ballot,
in
chat.
big primaries this year.
She
This
dropped
would be
out,
the
but she's still on the ballot.
Win that
and there's probably still going to be some olds that vote for her,
can win this primary tonight. And then general election questions here too.
Some olds that already voted for her
saying,
too.
We talk about the midterm climate may not be friendly to Republicans. Republicans are saying, well, it may not be, but we can win if Democrats nominate a candidate as far left as El-Sayed. Because remember, this is a state that Donald Trump carried in 2020.
Taiwanese Twitch streamer Miguel from Pierre is betting 67% minimum for Abdul. 67? That's a joke, right? Or wait, what's the how many points above though? What's his lock? Because I want it to be 20. I don't think we're going to get to 20. It's probably going to be like 17. Plus 17. Does he think? Shousters! Yowza! 200 level 12 complete. Dead air, man. Dead air, not good. Okay, so what is the DNC line if Abdul blows out Stevens by 67? I don't think that's crazy. 65 is in my range. No, I said it's crazy depending on what I want to know what you think he's going to put on Haley. Like, what's your gap? I think he's going to be above 60. I wonder if Abdul gets 67, that's a minimum of plus 33. He is not going to be plus. If Abdul gets plus 33, I will die on the spot. I will perish. If we get the level 15 hype train, Abdul will get plus 33. Where are you going in Michigan? I'm going to the Abdul Rahman Mohammed El-Sayed election watch party in a little bit. We're obviously wow. It's in.
Early vote. Are we looking at election day vote here? That's going to be key. Adam is
Stop
taking a look at that.
Stop
but
the
one
count.
thing I can tell you
Stop
about this
the count.
county here is this is a place where Sayed has to do well. Okay, his support in polling and the support of these progressive insurgent candidates has really been closely linked with age. The younger the electorate, the younger the voters, the better these candidates on the left have been doing. This is a place here, Kent County, Grand Rapids, that is growing very quickly, and it's growing with younger residents. It has a younger median age than the statewide average. So this is a place where progressives have done well in recent elections. I should say better than they have, in other counties statewide. It's a place where El-Sayed has to do well, and you're seeing that first batch of vote we're getting here. This is probably absentee vote that was cast by mail early.
Stop the count.
And if it is, and El-Sayed is leading it, that's particularly good news for him because, again, we expect the vote by mail to be better for Stevens. So that's the first readout that we're getting here, again, from a county where Abdul El-Sayed is expected to and needs to do well. And I'm going to ask my producer
what Kami says! It is partial mail.
It is partially vote by mail. And Gotti, that's significant because the vote by mail, we've been seeing this, tends to be an older demographic casting it. It tends to be better for candidates like Stevens, who are the establishment candidates. So if we're seeing vote by mail, the candidate from the left, El-Sayed is doing well, that bodes particularly well for
have to be at that party.
Interesting. It's so fascinating to hear you talk about vote by mail versus same-day voting because, I mean, this is really a race between...
Gotta say, canceled
kind of a
Cancel
very
out my grandma's vote for
online
Israeli
Twitch-like
Stevens by voting for
electorate,
Abdul and
then the
Macomb.
very moderate, maybe more like cable news watching electorate.
Israeli
Do you think that we're going to see
Stevens.
some of the same trends in terms of urban versus rural voters that we do in like the same day voters versus the mail-in ballots?
Yeah, it's a wonky conversation, but it's an important one because it really has been the defining feature. It's just been areas where you find younger voters, where you find younger college-educated voters, younger college-educated female voters, single. I'm layering these different demographic categories on top of each other. That's where these
54% hype train level
left-wing
15.
candidacies
Oh
have
my
really
God,
taken root,
Schauster,
and where there
Schmaus-
tends to have been
Schmaus,
resistance to
there's
them
another
is
100.
places where the electorate skews older. It just becomes a more sort of moderate electorate, an electorate that's more friendly to a candidate like Stevens. So again, just based on Grand Rapids, the Grand Rapids area itself, especially when you're talking about Democratic voters in the Grand Rapids area, you are talking about something that's younger. There are a lot of newcomers coming in there.
Emil Habibi.
But again, that's an interesting, the fact that the vote by mail, some of this vote by mail, that we've seen demographically, that tends to be more
Level
used
15
by
hype
older
train
voters
achieved.
than younger voters. The fact that that is coming up friendly for Syed is a very interesting early sign.
And again, a very early sign, 9% in there, but real fast. Steve, remind us of like the purple nature of Michigan here. Like this,
oh my God.
Take us back to Bernie versus Hillary. What does this state sometimes skew?
Yeah, I mean, we'll take a look. These are the last three.
From this point on, Michigan will only be purple because it's deep red, but for socialism, and blue for some Democrats. But mostly
2 wins for Donald Trump. I'm sorry, this is Kent County. I needed to go to the statewide. You think, Gotti, after 6 months, I would know how to use this
no,
thing?
I was impressed that you were just pulling these out of like thin air and the big board. Of course, you have all of these things at your
we get to
fingertips.
level 20
This is
hype
wild
train.
to
We're at
just
level
see you work here.
This is it. Look, Trump has won this 2 out of 3 times. Remember, before Trump came along, no Republican had won Michigan in a presidential election since 1988. Now he's done it 2 out of 3 times, and that really is part of the story here in this
close
Senate
presence
primary,
with 100
where,
bones.
the
Thank
Stevens
you.
campaign, her supporters have been saying to Democrats, look, Al Sayed is too far to the left to win in a state that went for Donald Trump 2 out of 3 times. These left-wing candidacies have done really well in Philadelphia, Washington, D.C., Denver, New York City, places like this, where the general election is going to be a cakewalk for any Democrat. Not so in Michigan, and this has been the pitch that Stevens has been making to voters. They're saying this is a risk if you nominate Al Sayed in a state like this. And national Democrats, some national Democrats, again, that establishment wing at least, have been saying, well, hey, winning the Senate for Democrats, if the Democrats are losing Michigan this fall, the math kind of becomes prohibitive on that.
Yeah,
AES,
and not to put the big board
after the
to
primaries
the test
stands
again,
for
but
actual
we're already starting to
existing
see some results
socialism.
in Virginia, right? I'm not sure if you've got those up yet, but that's an interesting state because, I don't know, because AI, data centers seem to be creeping into politics in a very big way there, especially considering that Northern Virginia has the highest concentration of data centers in the country. You're a different kind of big data guy, I know, but what are the numbers they're showing?
Yeah, I will jump there. We did get one little county here. Part of it is Wexford
perfect.
County. This is small, this is rural. The reason I'm flagging this even with just 10% is, again, this part of Michigan here, sort of north of US 10, is just filled with largely very small, rural, older electorates, older blue-collar white electorates.
You Michigan voter went on
here
CNN?
is that Stevens isn't just winning up here, but for a few places. She is cleaning up here.
Agree to what they want to, too many
You
people
Michigan
like that in
voter. This
politics.
is you Mitch voter.
And why is that?
Because it doesn't take money from AIPAC. I'm not voting for anybody who takes money from AIPAC.
And why is that?
Embrace Hasanabi thought. 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 Now! Fox News Official. Thank you for the 25 gifted subs. Thank you, Fox News Official. My biggest fans.
2 small little, pieces of clues here that we've gotten from Kent and that we've gotten from Wexford. But again, just those 2 small things we've seen so far are things that Al Sayed would want to see more than Stevens would want to see.
Got it. Any sizable votes coming in from places like Virginia right now?
Yeah, I'm sorry. You had asked about that, and I went, okay, let's go over to Virginia because we do have a call. I want to show you this in the 2nd District here. 2nd District is around Virginia Beach here. This is the district. is basically dead even in the presidential race. Now, this is interesting. Elaine Luria won this Democratic primary. That's no surprise. Elaine Luria is a former member of Congress. She was defeated for re-election by Republican Jen Kiggins. Kiggins unopposed for renomination in the 2nd District. So this is going to be a rematch. Two candidates who've represented this district in Congress. And again, the backdrop, this is as dead even as they come. This is going to be one of the most closely watched congressional races in America this November. This is going to be, kind of one of those bellwether districts. We're talking about, are Democrats going to have a big night, win the House, win it by a big margin? Are Republicans going to actually have a chance of holding on to the House? This is going to be one of those districts this November. Again, it's right there in the Hampton Roads, Virginia Beach area. Big military presence, Navy presence.
20 seconds remaining.
This is going to be one of those places
87%. 20 seconds. 10 seconds
on
remaining.
Election night,
87%.
as an early clue this November. So put that one in your heads. Virginia's 2nd District, Kiggins versus Luria.
90%. 9 seconds remaining.
We're going to be checking back with you throughout the night here. Can't wait to see you, Kristen, and Hallie as the night goes on.
98%, 99%.
And just over an hour ago,
we made it to level 16 on train.
That was very nice of Gotti to put me into his show, and you got to see how that worked. That was fun, right? So let me get out of Virginia and
get back to Michigan.
You see what the we make sense of those cuts, like something in an eye doctor's office. But let's go back to Michigan here and see if we've got anything new coming in. Adam, I mean, not that, do I even dare ask, do we have any clue what kind of vote this was?
Yeah, so this is one precinct out of Wayne County. It's in Grosse Ile Township. And it's just one precinct that we got results for.
Wait, that's actually good.
Where'd you say it was?
Grosse Ile.
Wayne County, Abdullah Head?
It's one precinct of election day. Again, I'm analyzing.
Yeah.
Again, remember,
yeah,
for early voting, Abdul's not supposed to be ahead right now, especially because the areas that are coming from,
back to Grand Rapids,
the areas that are coming from should be going to Haley Stevens by like plus 35, plus 40, for her to even be competitive. This is actually, I mean, it's too early. It's too early to tell because it's like 1%.
Report out from the mail vote. I think we had it at
but that,
roughly about
like that district is not
based on our of the mail vote in our targets.
You said 16 or 60, what did you say?
16.
16% of the mail vote in Kent
Of our
County.
expected mail vote. In
the absentee drop comes from parts of Kent County that should be less favorable to El Sayed. Yeah, exactly, including more heavily black areas of Grand Rapids, making it an encouraging result for him in the absentee vote. Yeah.
Remember,
we talked about this already.
Grand Rapids,
early on, early
update
votes
from
that are
Kent.
coming in are
We did.
absentee
Okay. Oh, my
ballots,
goodness.
older.
Okay.
In black districts,
and
the older
it was
absentee
clearly
ballots is
basically
exactly
the
where
same
Haley
margin.
Stevens is supposed to be running up the numbers big time. And I'm talking about literally like not plus 20, plus 40, okay, depending on where we're looking at. So if she's only above even plus 20, that's an easy victory for Abdul Al Sayed. The fact that Abdul Al Sayed, I mean, this is very, very few numbers so far. I'm a numbers guy. This is very, very few number. Okay, if Abdul is leading in the absentee votes, they're going to call this pretty quickly. They're going to call this before 9. They might actually call this while we're on the over there. We should have not waited. Are you, what's going on? You ready? It turns out it's not Israel that comes to us in our dreams. It's Medicare comes to our dreams.
Vote by
It comes
mail
to us in our dreams.
Starts to look extremely different because we've seen this in primary after primary. This is the vote that's supposed to be the best for Stevens. And she's losing by more than 16 points right now, at least, again, from Grand Rapids here, this vote by mail. She's supposed to do the best with this. Then, when they start adding in the election day vote, that's when the young vote, that's when that more, sort of leftward vote comes out. And that's where Al Sayed is supposed to sort of make his move. And instead, I mean, yeah, you're seeing numbers there.
This
if you're
is
Al Sayed's campaign,
insane. Like,
I
this
think
is,
you are.
I'm not even joking. I feel
again,
like
it's one
this is
city
insane.
in one county. You're certainly not. You're not celebrating, but you're saying that's what you want to see. That's the start you want to see.
Okay, now the team is asking us when we're on our way.
It's quite the opposite of that. I'm trying to pull up here. I have some benchmarks that I had established, and of course,
what are you doing over there?
What have I done? I've gone and messed everything up here. If you'll bear with me, right? So, I mean, I give you a sense of this. We're trying to think of what the best benchmarks were tonight. Use it from Stevens' standpoint, right? If Stevens going to win this election night, what does she need to be getting in a county like Kent County? So take a look at 3 recent, I say recent, it's the last 10 years, statewide elections in Kent County. Statewide Democratic primaries in Kent County. If you went back to 2016, Hillary Clinton, kind of the establishment candidate, got 37% in Kent County. Remember, she lost statewide. It was close, but Bernie Sanders did defeat her statewide. In the 2020 Democratic primary, now this was held under unusual COVID circumstances. Biden was starting to kind of become the inevitable, but it was 46% of the vote is what Joe Biden. If you say Joe Biden was kind of the establishment candidate, Biden got 46% of the vote out of Kent. And then here's the interesting one. Back in 2018, Gretchen Whitmer, 4% of the vote here in her primary. Whitmer ran in 2018 against Al Sayed and one other candidate. Now, Whitmer won the primary statewide with 52% of the vote. Al Sayed was a distant second place, but the other candidate, which was Shri Thanedar, was also a candidate of the left. So there was one way of looking at that 2018 primary to say, hey, the progressive wing actually got 48% against the establishment candidate of Whitmer, who got 52. So Whitmer getting 52 statewide got 44 here. Okay, so I think one thing you'd say is, if you're Stevens, that's probably the floor for you, somewhere right around there in a county like Kent. You don't want to be doing worse than 44% in a county like Kent County. By the way, Kent County was one of the better ones for Al Sayed in that 2018 primary. He got about 40% of the vote here. It's about 44 to 40% in that Democratic primary. So, if you're Stevens, you want to at least be matching the 44 that Whitmer got out of here, because I think there's a lot of demographic overlap likely between the appeal of these two candidacies. And this is a big one. So she's running at 39 right now with what's supposed to be the better type of vote for her in this county. Again, the thing that could change that, we get outside Grand Rapids, we get vote by mail from the rest of Kent County. Maybe the political complexion of it's very different, and Stevens is able to boost that number. But even if she does, in the remaining vote by mail in Kent County, what comes after that? The election day vote. And we'll see. There's always room for the pattern to be broken. But what we've been seeing with this election day vote is it's been very friendly to candidates like Al Sayed. So Stevens,
Donovan McKinney's race is going to be called later, Chad.
If what we've seen in other primaries roughly holds up here, when you get the vote by mail counted in Kent County, she wants to be well over 44% with it to give herself a pad for Al Sayed really having a big day on election day. And then that number for Stevens could come down and maybe land around 44%. That's a rough benchmark here for her, but I think mid-40s for her, in Kent County. She could probably dip a little bit lower if she can make up for it elsewhere. There is one big place where she could make up for it. We can get into this later. There's an opportunity here, I think, for her to do much better in Wayne County, than Gretchen Whitmer did. So that's why I say that's a rough benchmark.
Don't look, drops for Cori Bush. I'm waiting. What is it?
43, 44 range here. I think Stevens doesn't want to really start going south of that. So that's not too encouraging for her, what you're seeing first there. But again, I don't want to, this isn't the Grand Rapids primary. This isn't the Kent County primary. This is the Michigan primary.
No, I'll call it.
And we're just waiting for more numbers here from the rest of the state. Again, we got just a precinct somewhere in Wayne. We told you a little bit about Wexford. I want to see, this becomes interesting if this is replicated across the upper lower peninsula into the upper peninsula if counties consistently do this. Because again, if you're using that Whitmer model, Whitmer just cleaned up the upper lower and into the upper peninsula. These are places where she was getting 60, 65% of the vote in that primary, places where Al Sayed was getting 15, 18, 20% of the vote. So to see Al Sayed getting 46 here, potentially, but we don't know the vote type here. This were vote by mail too. In fact, I can tell you what Al Sayed's number was in Wexford. Yeah, he got 23% in the 2018 primary in Wexford County, and Gretchen Whitmer got 60%, right? So again, if you're saying Stevens is kind of, wants to kind of use that Whitmer model from 2018, this is the kind of county where she wants to be getting 60%.
Those are early votes in the county for Wesley Bell. Don't focus on it. Not indicative of the final results.
Yeah, you want to see if that extends elsewhere there, because it's very limited. Yes.
If you do want to take a detour, we have our first few results out of Kansas as well.
Okay.
In those statewide races.
Is there anything from Missouri?
Not yet.
On that one.
I will.
The Missouri one, I think there's a lot of interest in it. I want to make sure we get to. So just
I think
okay, but take a look here at
increased turnout favors Abdul. Obviously, And it actually favors the cross endorsements as well. I think it'll favor Donovan, which is really good. Hopefully it'll favor Will Lawrence as well. Like the down ballot performance, I think, is going to be pretty good for the cross endorsements, right? So we shall see. When are you going to the party? Why are you still here? We're gonna go to the party in a little bit, okay? We don't want to arrive too early. We're trying to time it. We're trying to time it. Dog, explosions in Dubai. Brother, I can't begin to explain to you how little I will be focusing on situation monitoring right now. This is literally the situation to monitor. Right now, the center of my universe is in mother Michigan, okay? The center of my universe is in mother Michigan right now. My heart is also in Missouri, but let's be real. Michigan comes to me in my dreams, okay? Not Israel. Michigan comes to me in my dreams.
And then Holscher, interestingly though, outside of Johnson, Holscher with an 18-point advantage. These are small. Oh, Wichita's what we want to see, of course. Now, this is interesting. This is, you know, again, this is sort of like Michigan. We don't have a ton of evidence to point to. But this is the biggie, as we said. 35% of the vote in a Democratic primary is going to come right out of Johnson County. You know, I can put the numbers up on the screen for you. 35% of the vote's going to come there. 15% or so is going to come out of Wichita. About half the vote is going to come from those two counties. Yeah.
Back to me.
Oh shit! Hold on.
Okay, that's big. Put it just a way of saying this here. It's interesting that Holscher's support, at least in the big counties we've seen, getting away from Johnson County, she is running ahead, of course, and not by much, but she is running ahead of him in both those counties. That might be significant. But we want to go back to Michigan. I got to click on one of these House races, go to the Senate race. What did I just do here?
5%
Michigan.
votes in
go
for her
to the Senate race. Okay, this is significant.
Okay, not as
okay,
bad.
wow. Now we think this is vote by mail-in Eaton, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, dude.
Here's the story on Eaton, and the number is, if you're an El Sayed supporter.
Let me clarify. I see mixed returns in these votes. It looks like I see some mail-in here, mostly election day, and some early in person.
Mostly election day.
Michigan 7?
Yes. It looks like it's about
Lawrence
1,500
picks up
advanced votes and 3,000
at 48.4%.
early election
with
day votes.
3.7% of the
this is
expected
interesting
votes
because
so
this
far.
we're using this.
Give us Donovan. Donovan is going to take some time, from what I understand.
As
What
a
is
rough,
that?
I stress, rough model here for trying to set some
that's
benchmarks
crazy.
for Stevens. The area right around here is where Whitmer massively overperformed in 2018. Why? Because that's her political base. That's, you know, she was the county prosecutor in Ingham County. She
No
was a state
shot.
legislator from this area. She did really well in Ingham County. She did really well in Eaton County, in Clinton County, Shiawassee County, Livingston County. She did really well. So, long way of saying, we're using those three benchmarks. I'll give you a sense of Eaton, right? Clinton, we say the establishment candidate of 2016, got 44% of the vote in Eaton County. Biden in 2020 got 52%
Looking at some election
in
day
this county.
strips,
And
it
then
looks like
Whitmer,
25% is in play.
when I say she overperformed in that race, I lost my place here. You're looking at 65% of the vote. She got 65% of the vote.
Bro,
here
what an indictment, dude. What a ginormous you so far to basically the endorsements coming from heavy hitters in the state. It turns out this truly is, look, I can't speak for the general right now, but it truly does feel like this is a establishment race. And unlike Donald Trump's rise to power, which was in the hands of one singular person, this is a movement. The amount of money spent so far. I mean, I don't want to talk like, he won already, but I mean, it's, let's just say you really don't want to be in the Haley Stevens camp right about now. You really don't want to be in the Gretchen Whitmer camp either. Obviously, Gary Peters is out regardless, but not looking too great. Not looking too great. If you are Gretchen Whitmer looking at these numbers right now, you are not feeling confident about your future prospects, which is part of the reason why I said, like, when that endorsement came down, I was like, I don't think she ever wants to run for higher office. I think she's just going to get a cushy. I think that she is going to get a cushy consulting job after she's done being the governor. More William Lawrence drops? No, we already saw that. It's at 48.4%. Looking great for William Lawrence. Like I said, Donovan McKinney, we are not going to know about Donovan McKinney until later, if not late into the night, is the expectation. Not sure. What is this? Ferndale election day votes. DSA challenger 3-1 votes on incumbent Helena Scott, who said if Abdul wins, we're yeah, that's Chris Gilmer Hill is the DSA endorsed challenger, looking really good. How many minutes after this primary until Haley Stevens moves back to Northern Virginia? This is a classic line. If you're in line to vote, stay in line. Polls close at 8 p.m. local time. And when she says local time, to be fair, it's Tel Aviv time. So she knows not what she says. Not her fault, you know.
And the same question has been raised by Lawrence's candidacy. If Democrats nominate him in a district, this is not a deep blue.
This is literally journalistic malpractice. That has not been said about William Lawrence. As a matter of fact, William Lawrence has consistently outperformed every other candidate in matchups and is the only Democrat running in Michigan District 7 that beats the Republican. The idea that William Lawrence is on the left, so he might be too radical, is fucking bullshit. And they tried to literally jam him up with like, he's anti-black in a district that doesn't really have a lot of black folk in it. Why did they do that? It's because he was cross-endorsed with Abdul, okay? It's because he was cross-endorsed with Abdul, so they thought that they could hit him with the Donovan cross-endorsement. They could like maybe take out a little bit of that, black vote for Donovan. They thought that they could chip away at the black vote for Abdul. It was some of the most cynical posturing I've ever seen because William Lawrence, one, Lansing has black people. Yes, but it's not like a heavily, wait, what? It's not the Lansing has black people in it, but it's not a predominantly black district. Also, regardless, he wasn't anti-black anyway. I didn't even get to finish my point. Dang, man, I'm in Lawrence's district and I'm black in Lansing. Okay, I know I have a lot of Michiganders in the chat right now, okay? I'm going to be talking about all of your districts tonight. Calm down, okay? It's less than 6% black. It's not Wayne County. Of course, there's black people everywhere. And of course, Hasanabi heads, black Hasanabi heads are going to be all around the state of Michigan, okay? Calm down. In any case, 4% in, our boy's doing good.
It may well be this split, divided opposition here, but here's Lawrence getting, at least in the little bit that we see, it's only 4%, but there he is running 20 points ahead. So that is going to be, 4%. It's 30%.
Chatters, Hassan, I licked the seat you sat on in Kitab Cafe. You are out of your mind, dude. Yeah, here, like I was saying, these are significant results because they provide our first direct comparison access vote types. And the shift is enormous, roughly 40 points towards El Sayed. I guess the reason why, yeah, look. Haley Stevens in Eaton County was only putting up, I mean, so far this is not everything, but she's like barely squeezing 20 plus points in Eaton County with the combined absentee. And then when you combine it with election day, Abdul Al Sayed is winning. New drops.
In Eaton County, since it's the one, and I think we just got some more Eaton as well.
We did.
Yes. So we've been, I know you and I were talking a lot today about, the vote modes and the way
like
these different votes might break. So we can check in a little bit here, especially since we have, 40% of the vote in. In the advanced vote, which is vote that was cast before Election Day, I think this includes early and mail vote. That is breaking for Stevens 49.5 to El Sayed 44.
5.5. Okay. Yep.
And the election day, he's winning 64 or 65 to 32 for Stevens.
Wow. So look at that. And we've got, it was 2/3, 1/3 before. What we just got was, we think, was more.
Yeah, it looks like we're tapped out of the early now. And it looks like we're expecting a little bit more election day and some more mail.
There is more mail, because that was the early vote that just was added into the mix.
That's what the early vote is, a small pool.
Right.
So I think it was vote across all modes that just came in.
Right. Okay. So I mean, this would be even if we were just showing you vote by mail, I think this would be a little bit more pro Stevens. The early vote, I think, might take it a little bit away. But this is the gap we're talking about. Stevens is winning the vote cast before Election Day by 5.5 points. Remember, we said we think that vote that comes in earlier is an older demographic that's more favorable to the establishment wing. Okay, she's winning it by 5.5 points. The Election Day vote is going 33 points for Al Sayed. So, I mean, even just a little rough back of the envelope math here, you could see that if one side, you got to, one side is plus 33 for one candidate and the other side's plus 5.5 for the other, it's a big advantage for this candidate. And again, you say Stevens here, what's the kind of number? What's like a bottom line number she would want to get out of Eaton County if you just take the lowest of all the establishment candidates, right? We said it was 44%. Maybe if she could compensate for it somewhere else, that could drop a little bit, but she doesn't want to be getting much lower than that.
We just got Washtenaw.
Okay. This is big. Ann Arbor, University of Michigan. We just got, this must be a big bunch of vote by mail that we just got.
Taking a look.
Holy cow. That's, I mean.
I see a mix here again.
Yeah. Well, okay, if you're able to
I'm taking a look into it more.
While you're doing that, let's just take you through. Again, this is sort of the liberal heart of Michigan.
Guys, I can't tell. Is that
University
good?
of Michigan, Ann Arbor. This Al Sayed.
Guys, I can't
this was
tell.
his best county,
Is
as a matter of fact, I
70%
believe,
good?
in 2018. Let me just check that. Yeah, look, in 2018, he basically fought Whitmer to a tie here, 46-46. But the key, using that Whitmer model, Whitmer was able to get 46% support out of Washtenaw County, right? Washtenaw County this is going to be roughly 6% of all votes.
Guys, I don't know. Is that good? I can't tell.
So you don't want to get blown out in a county like this. Whitmer in 2018 didn't get blown out. She got 46% of the vote right there.
The People's Republic of Ann Arbor.
Candidates do. Biden in 2020 got 48% of the vote in Washtenaw County. In 2016, running against Bernie Sanders, right? He'd be the college town guy, you would think, right? Hillary Clinton, well, she didn't do great, but she got 44% in Washtenaw County. These are establishment candidates in Democratic primaries in this county. That is where Stevens is running, we think, with a mix of early vote by mail and election day vote. She's a light year behind the other establishment candidates. We say, again, if you're an establishment candidate running against a progressive insurgent in a Democratic primary in Michigan, I think you go into it saying you're going to lose Washtenaw County, right? But you go into it saying, I want to be here. I want to lose it like this. I want to be in the low 40s, the mid 40s. You don't want to be in the 30s. You don't want to be in the low 30s. You don't want to be in the 20s. Now, that is 22% of the vote that's come in right there. There is more to come. That can change. Though I would say, and Adam, you can check on this if you have any of this information, the way it's gone in recent elections in Washtenaw County is like at the very end, one of the last things that reported out is the vote by mail, specifically from the city of Ann Arbor. And that's not the entire county. That's a big chunk of vote.
Right,
so, that's why I'm curious to see how the vote by mail is breaking here, because if
HUD and I got all the Hudsons to vote. We did this because we have 100,000 siblings.
Yeah, so right now
they're not even joking. The Hudson family is like,
we have 39.
The Hudson family low key runs the state. The Hudson family is basically the Matty Maroon family. They run the state. They do have 10,000. They do have that Catholic 10,000 relative
vote specifically
movement
later on in the night. Looking at the county results site, it's also a pretty broad-based precinct results, but I do see precincts with zeros in Ann Arbor and Ypsilanti, so we're getting more from those populated
Do we have a sense
towns.
how that advance early is breaking?
Yes. So in the early vote right now, it's breaking for El Sayed 74-24, 25. In the mail vote, it's currently breaking for El Sayed 50-45.
The vote by mail, so El Sayed's winning the vote by mail right now, 50-45, and that's not included. So, okay, again, something significant is going to have to change in the pattern Adam just said for Stevens to avoid getting clobbered in Washtenaw County. Because again, we say Ann Arbor's vote by mail comes last. We think Stevens is going to do better with vote by mail. She is doing better with vote by mail than election day. So in a way, that's good news for her. You say maybe she's saving sort of saving her best for last. But even in the vote by mail that's been counted so far, she's a couple points behind Al Sayed. And I would think, this is me guessing, we'll see, when you get to Washtenaw, a place like Ann Arbor, such a liberal town, that even the vote by mail there, it may be more friendly to Stevens than the election day vote, but that doesn't mean she's winning it. She may just be losing it by a lesser margin than she's losing the election day vote. This is if you're Stevens, the early discouraging signs are adding up.
All right, 1 minute.
We have some election day vote in Livingston as well, right there in the Detroit area.
Yep.
I'm feeling a little
now
stick
you think
it
this
to
is-
him
oh,
right
wow.
now.
Wow. You think this
Brother.
This is a mix, but this is primarily election day. Yes.
Okay,
A little
so with
stick
the
it to 'em.
caveat that there's a vote, and if you can, whatever vote by mail we have, if you're able to calculate that, with the caveat that we think this is the most friendly type of vote for Al Sayed, he's 26 points ahead with a little bit more than a quarter of the vote counted in Livingston. Livingston is sort of the big, fast-growing, ex-urban county there. You got Detroit, you got Oakland, you got Macomb, and then a little bit further out, you got fast-growing Livingston County. That's sort of where you are. Sayed leading this by 26 points. To give you, again, the benchmarks we've kind of been using are three establishment Democrats in Democratic primaries here. How does this compare? Okay, Hillary Clinton, well, she got 38%
All
here
right,
in
ladies and
2016.
gentlemen, we're in transit.
Steve,
We're
we have our
officially in
first result
transit.
Missouri won as well.
See you in the
we'll go
car.
right-
A few moments later.
Okay, all right, we're flipped it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live at the Abdul El Sayed Election Watch Party. I hope you can see me. I don't know if you can. I'm just going to check to see. But there is a lot of excitement in the air tonight, and I'm very excited. I know you guys are too. Wow, there are so many people here. Hey, what's up? What's up? Yeah, I'm going to be in there in a second. Okay, it's all good.
Hey, bro, keep doing the good work.
What's up? Oh. Probably not. Okay, yeah. I had one just in case, but.
We got a special guest. I'm on with Joy.
Oh my God!
It's 3
no
months.
way.
3 months. Do you want a quick
Hi.
AirPod?
No, it's fine.
No, it's fine.
Hi. Hi.
This is Hey, Sam, what's up, nephew? How you doing?
Oh, I'm having a fantastic night tonight. You know who's not having a fantastic night? AIPAC, Benjamin Netanyahu, Haley Stevens so far. Oh my God, I forgot about her because she stopped tweeting. She stopped tweeting, so I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's wrong.
Do we want to do a proof of life on Jake Tapper tonight, or what do we?
Yeah. He spent most of his day with Hillary Skolton. After he interviewed Max Miller, he had Hillary Skolton on to yell about me. Crazy.
These are the crowd pops. 1 sec. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
Hi, I'm Kim Mulder. I'm reporter with National Review.
National Review.
Yes.
Okay. You guys don't like me too much.
Well, this is America, isn't it? First and foremost, what's your message to the Democratic establishment tonight?
I think they need to start paying attention to the needs of the masses, whether it be on their demands to recalculate our allegiance to Israel, or whether it be our demands for Medicare for all, our demands for a more equitable future where we spend money on our children rather than spend money blowing up children overseas.
Are you concerned at all that some of your more controversial comments you've made about America will have a negative effect on any of these races, or just like the movement you stand for going forward?
No, I'm not, because I love America, and that's the reason why I criticize it endlessly. If I didn't love America, I wouldn't be here. I came here when I was 18 years old, and in many respects, I achieved the American dream. But very quickly, I realized that that dream is not accessible for everyone, including people that have been here for many generations, including people that came here with hopes for a better future. And I want to make sure that we have enough wealth in this country to offer that dream to as many people as possible. And that's what tonight is about, and that's what our movement is about. And as far as the comments that I've made that people will try to use against Abdul El Sayed or against all these other candidates, our side fights for policies. Our side fights for America. Our side is the real America First candidacy. If the other side, if the opposing side, no matter who they may be, whether they be establishment Democrats or Republicans in the general, if they want to talk about Twitch streamers or clips out of context, well, there was another guy who was clipped out of context quite a bit, and he was able to tap into the populist rage. And that man has redefined American politics for the last decade. His name is Donald Trump.
What's out of context, though, about saying that America deserves our Can you explain how that's out of context?
Of course. It's a comment that I made that I apologize for the language that I used all the way back in 2019.
capable of showing humility. I'm capable of recognizing when I misspeak or speak out of turn. But the concept that I was referencing was also championed by Robert Kagan as recently as a couple of months ago, which is the concept of blowback, in which there's plenty of academic consensus on, that our meddling in the affairs of countries far away inevitably cause too much distress, and it has the capacity to blow back on us. And I find 9/11 to be, of course, a horrible tragedy. I've spoken about it extensively. And yet, even to this day, almost a decade after I apologize for the language that I use, people still try to cynically foment Islamophobia by weaponizing 9/11. And we're now living in a time where Donald Trump is about to offer nukes to Saudi Arabia, the country perhaps most responsible for 9/11. So I see that hypocrisy. I understand how the game is played, but I think it's important to stick to the issues. And I know that Americans are far smarter than this game. They were sick and tired of business as usual politics when they voted for Donald Trump, but Donald Trump unfortunately didn't offer an alternative. And now the cost of living crisis has worsened. So hopefully we're going to solve that for all Americans once and for all.
Final question really quick. If Stevens happens to win tonight, what does that mean to you?
That means that $70 million of outside expenditures was capable to subvert American democracy once again. We'll just go back to we'll just go back to organizing, and eventually we will organize money. However, I'm not very concerned about that as it stands currently.
Well, I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much. Great
no
meeting
problem.
you.
Nice to meet you. Moderately hostile National Review interview. Glad we got it on camera. Okay. Let's see. I mean, the slips look pretty good for Abdul. Yeah. The ones that I'm getting, they look decent for Donovan and pretty good for Abdul. But ultimately, God, I wish I was. I really can't monitor the situation as well as I would like to. As well as I would fucking like to. Yeah, Michigan 7 Democratic primary shaping up to be one of those two people's egos and campaign consultants cause a lefty candidate to win the primary situation and essentially must flip district for Democrats, says Adam Carlson. He's, of course, talking about William Lawrence, who's doing very well, at least in the last polls that I saw. Hold on, let's see. Yeah, Haley Stevens is putting together a stronger than expected showing across rural and small town Michigan. The race remains too close to call, but those margins are worth watching, says Midas Touch. Of course, still, the situation. This is Abdul's race to lose at this point. You would much rather be in the L-side camp right now, but Stevens, in the initial numbers. In the initial numbers that came out, Haley Stevens' chances looked disastrous, especially because of the mixed results that we were looking at. I think the confusion came from the fact that we thought those were early ballots. Abdul doing very well. Abdul doing very well in the early ballots. Led everyone to get really excited early on. However, Stevens is actually caught up because of the way that they're calculating the mixed ballots, like both the mail-in ballots and the early vote with same-day voting. But Haley Stevens is actually outperforming expectations in rural areas, and that is the reason why. If she can run up the numbers in Wayne County, like we said earlier, if she can get like a super wide margin in Wayne County, which is, Detroit, Wayne County, like that's 20% of the vote overall, I think, or 22% of the vote overall, like the total vote overall. It would make Abdul's chances a lot worse. So once again, I say stop the count. But right now it's 51% at 210,748 votes for El Sayed and 45% at 187,917 for Haley Stevens. Check Will Lawrence is getting close. Are mail-in ballots usually cast by younger voters? No. There are no rural voters in Wayne County. What?
No, I'm not talking about Wayne County when I say rural. Bro, why are you so close to my face, David? What is happening?
The microphone seemed, for some reason, was struggling.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there's a bad result that came out of Midland, it seems. Ellis Bates. Wait, where the fuck is this? What? Very poor result for Al-Sayed in Midland. Stevens is winning the election day vote there by nearly 20 points, while Al-Sayed carried the early vote by roughly the same margin, plus 24.
Oh, it's the fan.
What?
Don't worry about it. It's fixed.
Oh, you were picking up outside noises?
Yeah. I just had to turn on phantom power.
Al-Sayed hit his marks early in Kent County and Washtenaw, while Stevens was only decent in Oakland. But Stevens has run very well across rural and small town Michigan over the past 45 minutes. My current read says Zachary Danini is Al-Sayed +8, but uncertainty with so little from Wayne. So that's the real problem here, is that Wayne County will be the decisive factor here. The black vote will literally be the decisive factor in this race. Obviously, Haley Stevens is expected to win the black vote, or the Wayne County vote in general, but by how much? Meanwhile, I think Donovan is doing pretty well.
Hell yeah.
Midland is where Dow is. I'm not surprised by that. Look, let's just say you don't want to be relying on that. Like, that's not a very good situation to be in, if we're being honest, for Abdul Sayed, but I don't think it's going to get there, so it's fine. Meanwhile, here's some good news. Donovan McKinney, who I stumped for literally super aggressively in the last couple of days, with 7% of the expected votes in, Donovan McKinney is actually in a almost 20-point lead over the incumbent Shri Tanadar. Donovan McKinney has 5,367 votes to Shri Tanadar's 3,643. That's 59.6 to 40.4%. So that is where we're at. Let's go to Karnacki Cam and see what Karnacki is saying. The environment at Haley Stevens camp is not great, by the way.
These are the big population centers here. Really big numbers for her down in Wichita, where Sedgwick County is, and so she.
Dog, we don't care about Kansas. We don't care about Kansas. Come on.
And the Republican side, Ty Masterson, endorsed by Trump. This is the story we've seen in so many Republican primaries. Trump endorses. Trump gets his candidate in Kansas. On the Democratic side, I think you said Laura Kelly, Democratic governor, sided with Corson in this. Does not get her candidate.
Which is so interesting because she has gangbusters popularity in the state of Kansas. I mean, I think she's one of the top 10, most popular, highest approval rating governors in the country, and had thrown that weight behind Ethan Corson, who was very happy to talk about that when he was on the campaign trail. The other piece of this too, Kansas hasn't elected a Democratic senator, I think, since the 30s, but it is one of 5 states that is represented by a Democratic governor, in the state that Donald Trump ended up winning, Steve. So there does seem to be some interesting dynamics at play. I feel like if the theme of the night is you can't paint with a broad brush, right? Like, this maybe is part and parcel.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think one thing we've seen is gubernatorial races can kind of
oh my God, fucking Kansas, bro.
Oh, here we go. All
right. Oh, nice. Phone stream. Why is this so close? I don't want to stress. I'm from Wichita, Kansas, and I care about this. Okay, but we're in fucking the headquarters right now in Michigan. This is the race. Sanders talking about you. Hold on, I'll pull it up on my own. Here, someone send me the link to Bernard talking about me. David, step back. That's what they're saying. Why are you so close?
I'm sorry.
What is happening?
I got feedback to be closer.
Wait, what do you mean? Because you can't hear or something?
No, just in general, to be closer. But maybe I got one guide.
Very controversial streamer Hasan Piker was at one of Al-Sayed's final events. The two did a stream together, a fairly lengthy stream. I know that you've spoken to Hasan Piker in the past. But are you comfortable with Al-Sayed having a close association with him, given some of his past statements? To give you an example, one of the more controversial ones is that Piker has said America deserved 9/11. Are you comfortable with that association?
I am not. I think that's a dumb statement. On the other hand, he has a whole lot of followers, and there's a lot of things that he's saying that are making sense to a lot of people. I think, we have to get above cancel culture. When you're doing radio, whatever they do, podcast, radio, you say dumb things. I suspect if you go back over your career, there may be one or two things that you said that you may have regretted. But I think what we have got to do is look at the totality of where people are coming from and go forward. Here with Joe. Joe Lozier out of Region 1.
That is fucking... That is so funny. That's hilarious. That is hilarious. That is... I don't know what to say about that. Oh my God. That's Burn Dog, man.
Frozen.
What? Frozen. Oh, Chaz Frozen is fine. But, all right, where are we at? Give me some updates, man. It's likely that this race will come down to Wayne County Election Day votes. Stevens is doing extremely well in rural Michigan relative to expectations, and a good Wayne result could allow her to win this primary. Keep watching Vote Hub coverage throughout the night. I'm gonna fucking... I will end it all. I will end it all. So there's a... Stevens with a plus 53 mail drop from Detroit. Oh my God, another one of Stevens County's. That is not good. That is not a good result at all. Another one of Stevens' strongest counties is St. Joseph, where she's only losing the election day by 1.5%. She's winning the mail by 16, which is most of what is remaining. And from her stronger areas in the counties, where it is a head-to-head matchup with Abdul at 46%, Haley Stevens at 48%. Okay? Mallory McMorrow, unironically, is a little bit of a spoiler in like many of these places as well, which is crazy that people were still like, they didn't spoil their ballots and then recast them. Or maybe they did and they did it for Haley Stevens, who knows? But
whoa.
Aisha Faruqi is, what's wrong?
Fix it. Focus just went crazy.
Aisha Faruqi is not doing well in Michigan U.S. House District 11 Democratic primary with 64% reported. Jeremy Moss is at 49%. I mean, she's close, but I don't know if she makes the distance there. Also, with 16% reported at Michigan's U.S. House District 7 Democratic primary, William Lawrence is still at 41.9%. Bridget Brink is actually at 30%, and Matt Mazdam is at 27.9%. This is one of those races where both of the establishment Democrat candidates actually tried to outcompete one another. And because they tried to outcompete one another, that ended up opening a free lane for Will Lawrence.
You can't take it. You gotta wait.
But yeah, Abdul Al-Sayed is hitting his margins pretty much everywhere across the state, but it's not enough to call the race, unfortunately, especially not without more votes from Wayne County. But we shall see what happens when Wayne County results keep getting dumped. And unfortunately, that big dump that I just gave you guys, the Stevens plus 53 male Detroit, that number is devastating, and it turns it into an actual competitive race. All of a sudden, it turns it into a race where Haley Stevens does have a fairly good chance. Yeah, Haley Stevens is outperforming the polls by significant margins right now in Michigan. In a lot of the rural districts, it's not looking too great. Stevens is at 66 to Abdul's 30 in Detroit, bruh. No, that's not that bad. That's not as bad as you think it is. Big dump for Abdul, let's go. Okay, it depends on where it's coming from. Like Abdul getting big pushes from different places is great, and it makes things exciting, but you have to look at, where Abdul is performing. Isn't he outperforming expectations? And it does look like it's going to be a very long night if this continues as it's. Hold on. University of Michigan voters an hour ago had a 100% Al-Sayed precinct. It's so crazy because like they were talking about how like there's so much excitement at the Abdul Al-Sayed event and there's none at the Haley Stevens event, and it's like kind of funny because it doesn't mean anything. As I was telling that other reporter as well, like Thomas Massey had a lot of excitement around him, but it didn't fucking matter at the end of the day because the guy that didn't even campaign was able to coast into a victory with a Donald Trump endorsement and a ton of money from Israel. I still think Abdul is obviously going to, you know, I still have hope that Abdul is going to win this race. Having said that, you know, it is a ton, like an unbelievable amount of life-changing amount of money overall. But, you know, it's good to be calm in this moment. For the record, Haley Stevens overall still did a fairly decent job of like not even doing outreach to the black community necessarily, but just simply saying over and over again that she got like nodding to the Obama endorsement that she didn't actually receive. And that is enough for like a lot of boomers to vote for him or for her. But that was, yeah, but Wesley Bell has defeated former Representative Cori Bush in the Missouri Democratic primary rematch in St. Louis. Turns out maybe money does actually play a significant role over the many. It don't even matter. At least in that race. All right, let's continue. Al-Sayed has taken the lead in Bay County, currently ahead by 6 points. Very little vote reported. The initial drop has Stevens leading by roughly 15 points. Grand Rapids City election day comes in big for Al-Sayed, but now it is done. Ann Arbor is close to done as well. So Al-Sayed has his lead back, but these are a couple of his strongest areas that are done. Dearborn does remain, but like I said, it is definitely with the Stevens plus 53 mail-in ballot from Detroit. The more we see from Detroit, the more the night will shape out. But Abdul's strongest areas are close to being done, with the exception of Dearborn. Stevens is only leading by 2 points in her home county with 60% of the vote in, which is kind of crazy. Where like Abdul Al-Sayed is at 47% an hour ago, whereas Haley Stevens is at 49.7%, which I think is also interesting. It's a testament to the fact that even in Haley Stevens' supposed stronghold, Abdul Al-Sayed still had a fairly strong showing. But like I said, the good story, so far the good story of tonight is definitely Donovan McKinney. So Stevens needed a roughly 55 point win in Detroit absentee, and she got 54. So it's actually that's what's like giving a lifeline to Haley Stevens right now, especially considering that Abdul Al-Sayed had his strongest showing areas already, which is why he has what's the current numbers right now? Let's see. Wait, Donovan is down? Donovan McKinney is losing? I don't think Donovan is I don't think the Donovan McKinney race is going to look bad at the end of the day, but Haley Stevens is 4 points behind Abdul Al-Sayed on the New York Times results currently, with Abdul Al-Sayed at 50% exactly and Haley Stevens trailing behind at 46.5%, Mallory McMorrow at 3%. Only 34% of the votes have been reported thus far. Kornacki Camp showing me more good signs. Hold on. Will Lawrence, New York Times says Will Lawrence back up at 14, plus 14. Does Abdul need 50% to prevent a runoff? No. How can it be this close? The average voter is stupid. It doesn't matter. Hartzell Gray is close, but down by 800 with 12,000 left. I think since a whole bunch of votes came in for Stevens in Detroit, a whole bunch of votes came in for Shree as a result, since the candidates are interchangeable. No, there's a lot of split ticket voters that voted for Haley Stevens and voted for Donovan McKinney. That's crazy. Low key, why do I get the feeling a bunch of people will go, oh, I didn't know you could only vote yesterday, tomorrow? I mean, that's always the case. Remember, guys, we have been unbelievably tapped in to this primary for months at this point, right? For months and months. And our perspective is not a shared one, okay? The average American, the average normie, and I saw this with like the canvassing operations that we did as well, the normies that, like there are so many normies who don't give a shit at all. The type of people that go out and vote, the type of people who are excited to go out and vote are usually nerds, in the primaries especially. We're talking about the midterm elections, right? We're talking about the midterm elections and a primary for a midterm election for a Senate race. Most people are not, civic-minded in general, and I think a part of that is because, people don't have anything to vote for. People are not all that excited. And boomers are the most powerful force as far as like maintaining status quo politics. And boomers literally see mailers and they see television ads and they hear about the dangers of voting for a scary Muslim man. And they get their notes from people like that. Unfortunately, it's not. Is Hassan just hanging out at a bar? No, I'm just chilling because I wanted to go somewhere quiet so I could analyze the results instead of doing a constant sea of like media / interviews / a photo shoot. Steve Kornacki thinks it's going terribly for Stevens. I don't know what numbers he's looking at, but I'm not looking at numbers that look. Maybe Steve Kornacki might be thinking it's going terribly for Stevens because he probably thought it was a lock for Stevens, maybe. But I'm doubtful. Haley is up 69-27 in Detroit, E-Day pending. Abdul closes the gap, but Haley still wins the E-Day vote, at least with this 57,000 votes that are in. With E-Day pending, guys, you were too confident, Oz? Oh no, for sure. For sure, of course I was confident. I'm still confident. I'm worried that Jinsey might want to vote, but literally don't know how. Okay, that's crazy. By the way, this is also part of the reason why when people were like, dude, why the f are you going to Michigan? It's a lock for Abdul. I was like, remember? I kept saying it's a lot of money that they're spending and it's a very important race. This is why I was here. New York Times showing 50-47 for Abdul. Abdul at plus 36 in Lansing. Is it too late to vote? Yeah, if you're still in line to vote, stay in line to vote. Yeah. Associated Press showing Abdul at 49.8% with Haley Stevens at 46.5%. So she's definitely inching along, but ultimately, boomer electability argument is mint still. It is genuinely the most powerful. It is legitimately the most powerful force for boomers. It's actually kind of crazy. Why does Stevens have such an advantage in Detroit anyway? Obama mailers. AIPAC dumped $34 million into this race. And they just mass blasted mailers that suggested that Haley Stevens had gotten an Obama endorsement, and that was it. It was a wrap. That's why. Like literally, there's nothing else to show for like there's no, if you were to ask people like why voted for Haley Stevens, they would literally, they kept repeatedly saying, oh, because Obama trusts her. That's it. Lying is OP. This is how they took out Thomas Massie. Why would they change? Because this is the Democratic Party's primary. Because it's the Democratic Party's primary. That's why it's different. And it has been different so far. I mean, look at the sequence of victories that we've achieved, where we've unseated incumbents. The problem here is Obama got involved in Iowa. Why not here? I don't think you want Obama to be involved in this race because I don't know if Obama would have endorsed Abdul al-Sayed in this race. Kornacki saying it. Lawrence called. Decision desk has called Michigan 7 for William Lawrence, ladies and gentlemen. So there's the first good news of the night. Out of the slate, the Donovan McKinney, William Lawrence, and Abdul al-Sayed slate. That's the first W of the night, according to Decision Desk. Dearborn remains. I really hope Abe was wrong. I'm worried about an underperformance coming out of Dearborn, chat. Yeah. I think a lot of people are overestimating Dearborn turnout. I hope I'm wrong. The only reason why I'm saying that is because of like what I've heard from people I know. I'm going through the results. The good for Al Sayed, he has a lead right now, says Zachary Danina of Vote Hub. The bad for him, his best vote in Kent has already been reported, Grand Rapids City. He should also go down vote share in Ingham and Washtenaw as counting continues and as more absentees come in. Al Sayed's current 35-point lead in Kent looks strong, but Grand Rapids proper is mostly done reporting. Stevens could still gain ground in the suburban and rural areas of the county, the types of places where she has outperformed expectations across the state tonight. There's still pollsters out there that are predicting a double-digit win for Abdul in spite of the current performance, so we shall see how correct they are. Also, Bernie Sanders, not comfortable with Al Sayed's ties to Hasan Piker, got misconstrued. I'm pretty sure he meant like he's not comfortable with what like the statement was, and not necessarily like he literally did not say that he was uncomfortable with Abdul Sayed's ties to me. He was saying he was uncomfortable with the statement, but I think people misunderstood the way he said it. I can't believe how fucking close it is. But yeah, Wayne County right now. What is, no, never mind. But yeah, some of the good signs so far is, like I said, Stevens' own county, where Abdul is actually performing fairly well, as opposed to, you know, Stevens just like cooking up the numbers. But yeah, once again, it's all gonna get down to Detroit. It gets down to how hard Stevens is going to dominate in Detroit. The fewer there's election day ballots, the better it is for Stevens. Abdul Sayed is ahead of New York Times pre-election benchmarks on, obviously we're still waiting like for full results, but smaller cities and suburbs, data from 2 out of 14 counties show Abdul at +4. And then rural is Stevens +3 is the leader margin. Stevens needed at least +16. It's still early, but in the counties that have reported enough votes, Abdul Sayed is ahead of their pre-election benchmarks by a 7-point margin. These benchmarks reflect how we expect each county would vote in a close race based on past results in pre-election polls. I don't trust anything anymore. It is mind-boggling how much just the money cannon can sway this level. Like this is, like the fact that this is like close by an ass hair shows exactly how much money still has unbelievable amounts of sway. They think around 170,000 votes left, but they count Detroit already, so I assume most of it would be Dearborn and so on. Dave Weigel takes. Some takes for the take God, who must be fed before midnight. Dave Weigel says, Al Sayed on track to win, but a low single-digit win that makes the story more, how does he unite the Dems, then left-wing juggernaut crushes puny establishment. Money can indeed buy goods and services. Maybe not bad for him to start from that position. The influencer pool party looked like an early end zone dance, cut against his Made in Michigan bio. We need to chill the hell out in internal polling. It drove a Stevens' toast storyline, along with him out campaigning her small events, etc. Peter said it would be close. The polls said +17. Go with the senator over the polls. I'm not absolving myself here. I shared polling from Pro AES Super PAC that was wildly off. Yes, too much internal polling. There's good confidence predicting victory when reporters ask horse race questions, and bad confidence. Joe Miller going to D.C. in 2010 and posting pics of his office shopping before losing to Murkowski. Posting with influencers on live streams look like the latter. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but I do think that the pool party was a bad look for sure. Let's just say that wouldn't be my preferred activity. I'm far more a firm and committed believer in door knocking until the very last door that is to be knocked. And they did do that, to be fair. Abdul El Sayed's team had incredible ground game, and they never really stopped. Him going to one fucking pool party amidst like a million different events to say what up to all the influencers that were coming in from out of town to also show support. It's a blemish, but nonetheless. Zachary Danini gives us a vote of confidence. Says, I would still rather be El Sayed for what it's worth, although it is, of course, a very close election. That Detroit ED drop was very important. Stevens needs suburban Wayne and the city of Flint to come in very well for her. That's what he said. So that's good. No surprise, but Abdul is sweeping election day voting in Macomb. But yeah, at least that vote splitting helped us with Willie Morris, so that's good. +8 Abdul and win. I will say he's remained around 50% for the past 30 percentage points. +8 Abdul and win. Kornacki's still pretty confident that Stevens can't do it. I don't trust Kornacki, I'm sorry. He's too much of a hoper. I think it's because he just, I don't know why, but I think he just thought that Haley Stevens would be doing better somehow. New York Times estimating Stevens only nets less than 2K more from Wayne. Hassan, I'm shitting my pants. Please hold me. Michigan Native American communities and reservations are located. Stevens is currently +8 in Wayne County. Not even American, but watching this whole thing nervously. I mean, this is an internationally relevant race. I want to remind people, again, $70 million, okay? $70 million. Nate Silver has a bronze take. All right, Donovan is coming here. Nate Silver has a silver take. A lot of pollsters in Michigan are hurdy and or shitty, but it's a legit hard race. Then there's the question of Arab voters. Oh, I missed it. Nate Silver says, there's a question of what pollsters do with Arab American voters. Important in Michigan, but still too small in an N600 survey to be reliable crosstab on their own. Do pollsters lump them in with the other, with white, as the Census Bureau did prior to 2020, or what? Yeah. Wayne, Oakland, liver. Updates since 6 p.m. Check logs. What? I can't check your logs. I'm on my phone. Annoyingly internationally important at the moment. Yes. 17 points, a massive win. A miss. One of the worst in recent times. No, I think that's just because those are internals. Like, internals are good to show consistent. Internals are good to show trends. Internals are good to show trends. It's always going to overestimate and oversample your base. It's a confidence booster. It's good for a media narrative, but overall, my overconfidence didn't come from Abdul's internal polls, but my overconfidence came from Haley Stevens not releasing any internal polls. And there's no reason why she wouldn't do that. She wasn't like trying to sneak out. She wasn't trying to like sneak in a fucking like upset victory or something. She just had bad internals and they didn't release them. So I think even her own internal polling probably might have underestimated her chances as well. But once again, I mean, I understand why a lot of people treat voters like they're dumb as dirt. I get why. Because it is so much more fun to be enthusiastic and excited about a movement and like pushing for certain things and trying to get shit done than it is to get a deep and personal understanding, a reality check of like what moves voters, okay? It really is. That's why so many of the centrist Democrats have this kind of attitude about voters where they're like, no, voters are they have this attitude where they're like, no, voters will get convinced by narratives that they see on television. They'll get convinced by, you know, Abdul al-Sayed being a scary Muslim or whatever. Like, they've been to give the annoying centrists at least some grace and some credit. They like their candidates, right? I always assume that they have a cynical posture because they're just like corporation backed and they want to continue getting money from, you know, and continue protecting their comfortable sinecures. And that's the reason why they cynically say like, no, electability is this, electability is this. What they still are talking about in terms of electability is like, no, they'll just deploy a money cannon and voters will fucking turn the other cheek. They will literally, or voters will just turn away from your candidate and they won't vote for your candidate regardless of how great his policies might be. And I think it is low-key, always black-pilling. A black-pilling feeling that I haven't felt as much since like the Bernard defeats. We're not there, obviously, in this race, but the very fact that like $60 million can still have this much of a fucking impact on a directionless candidate that literally ran on nothing. Like give me, Simon, give me the most, this is not, you know, your part of your job, but I want to hear, like, give me the most, like, pro Haley Stevens case you can, just as a hypothetical, as a thought experiment. Like, what
outside of the auspices of like electability, like on the merits, you mean?
Yeah, like what is the appealing nature of Haley Stevens beyond television man saying this is electable and not like weird radical guy who's gonna, you know, lose the election to Mike Rogers, even though all the polls have shown that Abdul was defeating Mike Rogers.
Outside of the Israel issue, what were the big disagreements policy-wise between the two?
There is literally nothing I can point to, and not because Abdul wasn't running on policies, It's because Haley Stevens did not.
So like on Medicare for All, where is she on that?
She never actually stood in opposition to Medicare for All. She broadly, every now and then, she would say things like, oh, this is just a wish list. I get shit done. That's all she said. So there's no policies.
She signaled that it was planned.
She had a 7-bullet point platform, I believe, that was utterly devoid of any like tangible policy perspective.
Okay, what about immigration? Where was she on immigration?
She
wouldn't say abolish ICE,
she wouldn't say abolish ICE. She was like, oh, we got to hold ICE like not even accountable. I think she was like, we got to restrain ICE, but she had funded ICE before, and it's like one of those.
Okay, what about data centers? Where is she on data centers?
I don't think she. Again, I don't recall anything from data centers.
Well, if you're a tick to the right of Abdul on all those issues, maybe you like her organically.
No, but she does. See, that's what I'm trying to say. She didn't do that though. She didn't do that at all. Like she wasn't even like Medicare. Like Joe Biden very clearly came out with the public option as a way to like nuke Medicare for all as the viable, reasonable alternative. How much of that was actually people saying, I'm a policy wonk and this is the only permissible path forward? And how much of that was simply like, yeah, I don't trust these like pie in the sky idealisms or whatever. But like, Haley Stevens didn't do that. She did not say, this is my healthcare policy platform. She just didn't really even attack Medicare for all ever, as a matter of fact. She didn't attack any of Abdul's policies. She just...
Israel could matter. There's still Democrats, obviously, a little more sympathetic to Israel than Abdul is. Could have made a difference. That's a differentiator.
No, that doesn't bear itself out in the polls at all. Like, it literally does not. So that's why I'm like, there's... And also, if that was the case, then the ads would feature Israel. Right? There was not a single fucking... Out of AIPAC's ads, AIPAC never spends on Israel anyway. So, no, that's not... There's no way. Big dumps for Abdul incoming. Dump, 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 dump. Back up over 3% for AES. New York Times estimates Al Sayed will win the primary. Okay, that is... Let's
not
be...
New.
Not new, and also... They're just saying it leans in his direction, okay? Chill out. But do you see what I'm saying? Like utterly devoid of policy, and I guess like it goes back to, oh, we're pulling out. Oh, I thought you were recording.
No, when you hit the...
Yeah, it is on here already. No, but
You don't need to.
So, what I was...
I don't need to do my job at all.
Yeah, no, I say everything all the time.
Totally relevant.
So, like, what I'm trying to get at is that it is vibes.
Vibes matter?
But vibes matter, and I knew that already. But vibes can be so directionally manipulated by the barrage of ads. But normally, my theory, and I guess like Vincent kind of pushed back on this when we were in the car the other day, where I was like, my theory is negative ad spend depresses voter turnout. That didn't happen here. So negative ad spend usually doesn't like excite Haley Stevens' base to be like, oh, I hate this Muslim, like I'm gonna go out and vote against him, right? Like that's not something that usually happens. And it was a big problem with Hillary Clinton. Like Hillary Clinton's negative attacks against Donald Trump actually ended up hurting her as well, because it wasn't like promoting her policies, but instead it was just like giving Donald Trump constant name recognition and name ID, which he was able to, you know, jujitsu his way out of by just being Donald Trump and having like high impact moments over and over again, which is what we've seen in other races as well with like Zoran. Whenever they ask him a question about like Israel, for example, he just like, boom, flips it back to like, I care about New York, whatever, right? Abdul's done that quite a lot as well in this race, but I guess there's never been a race like this as far as like a 10-to-1 outspend, you know, so it's a very hard to predict. But I am still...
You're saying that AIPAC doesn't spend any Israel issue in particular, but everybody knows. These are highly engaged voters. These are Democratic Party voters. Everybody knows where the two candidates are.
No, but I think... No, I don't think the people were... We saw... New York Times, I talked about this earlier. New York Times Daily had a Haley Stevens canvasser who was like very aggressively canvassing for her because she was like, I like Abdul, but like I don't think he can defeat Mike Rogers. Haley Stevens can. So like she bought into the electability argument. She literally turned around and told the New York Times reporter, I don't like that she's getting money from AIPAC. I wish that wasn't the case. I don't like AIPAC at all. That was the most tapped in, high propensity voter you can possibly get. Suburbanite, white woman, college educated, going out in her small town and door knocking for Haley Stevens, who still was anti-AIPAC. So that's the reason why I'm saying, like, there is, like, I mean, this is low-key why they spend so much money. They spend so much money to, like, make you reconsider, where they're like, maybe Israel isn't that much of a poison pill in a campaign. That's why they spend so much money not talking about Israel, but instead saying Abdul al-Sayed is a sexist or unelectable and all this shit. None of the ads ever feature Israel at all. I hate the takes of people being like, conversely, even if Abdul wins, I hope he gets humbled. It's like, dude, it's $70 million. Like, it's not like he was, you know, like, it's such a ridiculous thing to just be like, we did this. It reminds me of my favorite quote, Enver Hoxha, who once famously said, between us and China, we have 1 billion communists. It's like, you didn't do this, okay? You did not do this. You are a random Twitter user who is utterly irrelevant in the grand scheme of things.
Who said the humble thing?
What?
Who said
some random thing that showed up on my For You page of some, like, annoying asshole centrist Democrat who's like, it seems like Abdul has been humbled. It's like, you are sitting at home watching $70 million of MAGA billionaire money being directed at the behest of a foreign lobbying organization, being deployed against an American candidate who just wants Medicare for all and to no longer, you know, dump endless billions of dollars to said foreign country, and you're acting like you had a say in this process, like you played any role in this process at all. It's like that meme of the guy who's like stopping the subway train as it stops. He's like, I did this, like I'm doing this, I'm pushing it. Like I had more of a impact in this race as a random centrist Twitter account. You know what I mean? Also, yeah, people after this race will be like Mallory McMorrow. There will be a lot of Mallory McMorrow truthers for sure that will say like, oh, this wouldn't have been a barn burner if it was Mallory McMorrow.
Yeah.
Well, especially if it's the margin there, or like the margin between them.
Well, it's not how that works. Hey, what's up? Yeah, people. I mean, this is why the centrist election watchers are so black-pilled about voters in general, where they just like talk about them like they're cattle, like as though they deserve less, because they've been running candidates that they like. For us, on the left flank, we never run candidates that we like, or at least we've never had like an expectation that the well-liked candidates have any capacity to win. We're now establishing a lot of credibility in these races, right? Starting off in deep blue districts, but certainly have a shot, a real opportunity. I'm more so worried about like the consequences that this will have on the Francesca Hong race takes as well, where they'll say like, oh, see, it's over, like people are overestimating her as well. Like that's probably going to be like the immediate response. Everyone's dunking on you, Michigan voter, because he was the one who was like saying that the internal poster, very reputable source said, going to bed, but if al-Sayed wins narrowly, one of the first things he'll be told to do is kick Hasan Piker to the curb to campaign statewide, and the Schadenfreude is delicious, says Shannon Watts.
Here it is, I was waiting for it.
I think it's really funny because, like, first of all, I don't think these people genuinely understand. And again, no one ever listens to me, weirdly enough. Even if I'm the story, no one ever listens to what I have to say about this shit, where they'll be like, no, I know what's going on. They do not understand. This stuff is not for me. This stuff is, and I know you don't fully agree with this as well. This is not as beneficial for me as sitting the fuck at home. I'm spending money. I'm losing sleep. I'm not. No, I'm not. But people don't realize like I'm a content creator. I could just sit the home and watch from afar and not get inundated with like terrorism allegations on a daily basis from Democrats. While on the other side, I have Republicans, like the Republican administration, also trying to set up like, you know, federal indictments. Like, it's not. I don't want to do this. Their personal animosity that they've developed over, what they see on their Twitter timeline is what's like greatly impacting their analysis. Like they think that, my involvement in this race is like, playing a significant role when it's not. Like I think it's more so because all these guys will tell you, if you ask them, like the campaigns will tell you, they poll my shit. Like they will poll my approvals. Like they're not gonna they don't know me anything. You know what I mean? Like from their calculation, it's worthwhile. But yeah, another great victory for DSA member, 26-year-old Chris Gilmer Hill has declared victory over incumbent state representative Helena Scott in Michigan's 8th House District, Detroit, Ferndale, Pleasant Ridge. Scott, 66, came in third in her city council race last year. So there's another good victory for DSA as well right there, so that's good. Okay, question. It looks like Al-Sayed has a very good chance to win. What do you think about the traction these DSA candidates are getting? Well, I think it's crazy because that's what Trump said. Trump said, well, I think it's crazy because it's going to ruin our country. These cities are always filthy, dirty, no jobs, no anything, no money. They are always filthy, disgusting, dirty. I'm a clean person.
That's real?
That's what he said.
Like he's a real clean freak.
Yeah, he is.
Really?
That's true. Yeah, he is like, he's...
Yeah, it was a huge hurdle for him to start shaking hands in 2015.
Yeah. Someone said this is turning into Lib Stalingrad. They're holding off strong. Oh my God, I can't stop refreshing. Okay, what are we looking at, chat? Give me some news. Like 50,000? Yeah, 50,000 viewers still. 10 hours in. Well, today is a special day. This community has been intimately involved in this race from the start. Sometimes in ways that, I would not like to even be involved in this race as, but yeah, that was the turning point for the race for sure. Like it was or at least that's what Mitchell and a lot of these other pollsters like directly pointed to. I'm good. Directly pointed to. But it wasn't necessarily because, and I keep stressing this over and over again, it wasn't because I'm like super popular or anything, but it was more so because like the media angling against Abdul as like the anti-Israel candidate in a way where they were like, oh, it's bad to be anti-Israel, it's bad to Hasan Piker is anti-Israel, Abdul Al-Sayed is anti-Israel, is a bad thing, brought in a lot of national attention to the race. And that's when people were like, no, actually, we're also that way. And then Abdul literally got in the first place and never got off first place from that point on. And I think that was when Mallory McMorrow's like more progressive voters, basically, her progressive support collapsed and immediately shifted to Abdul because she was the one who spearheaded that movement at the direction of some of these like centrist think tanks that thought she would be the Goldilocks candidate. He went from third place to first place and then never stopped being in first place after that.
But even just like in our race in Utah and probably other races too, like feeling like, oh, we can do things differently than we were before because we saw the reaction to that.
Yeah. But also, a lot of people will try to, a lot of people are going to look at this race and it's the take machine and the take economy is going to go crazy. But like what they have to literally look at is $70 million in ad spend and also the governor's endorsement, the outbound senator's endorsement, and like the endorsement of other I talked to a lot of people in Detroit, community leaders out here. They don't think Jim Clyburn's endorsement was that relevant overall, but there are, I think it's the head of the Black Caucus here, his endorsement was like far more relevant overall had a lot more sway in the black vote in general. So diamond hands on the take economy. And also, last but not least, it was the Obama endorsement. So you can put that in the bag. Like you can look at it as like a fake Obama endorsement. Yeah, it's so shameless. Like everyone being like, Abdullah has a fuck ton of work to do mending bridges. Here's the fucking take nuke for you, okay? You are all unbelievably Islamophobic pieces of shit, okay? You literally called the dude a terrorist for months on end and like called him a sexist, misogynist, terrorist, bad candidate, fake doctor when he has like 2 degrees, and now you're gonna sit there and be like, well, you really gotta come to me now. Like, what are you talking about? Do you want to win or not? Lock the fuck in, okay? Lock the fuck in. And I do worry that there are some out there who, in an effort to make sure that this narrative that a progressive can win in a state like Michigan doesn't take root, will literally either subtly or, you know, not so secretively endorse Mike Rogers or stay out of the race while, you know, trying to push the excitement in the opposite direction. Like, everyone is already doing the can El Sayed unite the Democrats? And that question is just, can El Sayed get the pro-Israel vote? Can El Sayed win over, not even the vote necessarily, but like, can El Sayed get the people and the groups and the NGOs and the consultants that have worked extensively for pro-Israel candidates to shut the fuck up about El Sayed being for a long enough timeline so that, you know, we can consolidate the base and defeat the Republican? That's the real take. That's the truth nuke. It's give me anything. Give me anything.
You want
No, I want takes, man. I don't give a shit about anything else. I want numbers. Give me the numbers.
Donovan's in a really, really, really good place.
Yes.
Donovan's in a really good place.
Okay.
The next drop for Donovan it's possible it'll pull him down a little, but it's like a false. So people should prepare for that emotionally. But
okay, that's good to know.
Then the drops that follow that should be much more positive.
Okay. What do we think about Abdul?
I mean, I am not panicking, and nor am I like, we got this.
Yeah.
I'm in a chiller mood.
Okay. Where did, from your estimations, where did Haley Stevens overperform? You said it was like rural.
Well, I mean, she clearly did very well with older black voters, which we knew was going to be the case.
Yeah.
And I think there was some idea of a dual overperformance that didn't fully come to fruition, which adjusted some of people's ideas. But I mean, she did really well in the rurals, in the smaller towns, in some of the mid-sized cities. I mean, you see on the map, right? Like, so that's what's going on. But also, there's so much vote left.
I know.
Just gotta chill. But I mean, there's clearly a huge number of Donovan Stevens voters.
Yeah. No. I mean, we saw that when we were out there.
Yeah, we did.
So it's expected.
Yeah.
No, that has been one of the most interesting aspects of this race overall, is that normally, like, you have some sort of like cross endorsement appeal across the board. It just did not work at all in this case, I think.
I think it's all like I don't want to make any.
No, but it wasn't a 100%.
No, for sure.
I
just mean, I think that Donovan and Abdul cross endorsing made a big difference for Abdul and Donovan with different.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I was just saying, like, normally you would. There's no, like, when there's a DSA slate, it's just, there's a website for it, you know exactly where your polling station is, you know exactly who you're voting for, boom, boom, boom. Whereas, like, and there's not a lot of split voters.
True. That's true. I believe that.
It is now my great honor to introduce the man of the hour, Dr. Abdul El Sayed. All right, y'all. Money out of? Pocket. Money in your? Pocket. Medicare for? All right, y'all. Look, I wish I could tell you that I was declaring victory right about now. Turns out it takes a long time to count some votes in Michigan. It's a big state. But I will tell you this. I want you just to reflect on what that means. Right now, we are on track to vastly outvote the historical numbers that we should have expected. And that tells you about the kind of movement that we were able to inspire. A movement that kicked off 15 months ago, traveling the state up and down, spending time in churches in Detroit and living rooms in Lansing, VFW halls in Escanaba, backyards in Grand Rapids, sometimes in rooms of 2 or 3, sometimes in rooms of 2,000 or 3,000. And across that movement that we built, there was an inspiration in the idea that we could take our government back. Government of the people, by the people, and for the people, instead of government of the corporations, by the special interests. And because you had the audacity to believe in that, you know that the billionaires, the corporations, and the special interests, they weren't going to give up lightly. We all knew they were going to spend their money. We didn't know they were going to spend $70 million of their money. We didn't know that they were going to outspend us $11 to $1. And yet we're still standing. They want to tell us that here in Michigan, we're a purple state. That somehow everybody walks around wondering, I wonder where I stand on a left-right spectrum. When really, up and down the state, what you hear is, I wonder how I can afford my rent. I wonder how I can afford my groceries. I don't know what'll happen if I get sick because I can't afford my deductible. We are not a purple state. We are a state in need of a movement to take our politics back. And despite their spending, despite their lies told in ad after ad after ad after ad on TV, we're walking into the rest of this evening with a 3-point lead. And so as folks ask, if and when we win this race, how are you going to beat Mike Rogers and their money? I want you to remind them that if we come through this, when we come through this, inshallah, that we'll have taken $70 million on the chin and kept fighting back. Yeah, baby! I also want to speak to this moment. We've got 13 weeks to defeat Mike Rogers. And however we might feel about the campaign we've just come through, I want you to understand that it pales in comparison to the cynicism, in comparison to the corporatism, in comparison to the lies that Mike Rogers and Donald Trump are going to tell. There is so much more that unites us. However much we might disagree with our Democratic opponent, there is so much more that unites us than divides us. And so to all of our supporters here tonight, watching on TV, tomorrow we begin to mend fences. Whatever happens tonight, we have a responsibility to assure that we unite to make sure that Mike Rogers never sees the inside of the U.S. Senate. Where we go from here, always magnanimity in victory. So if your instinct is to be like, I told you, no. Let's come together to build a movement that's even bigger, that's even stronger, that's even more powerful, that reaches into the very depths of this state, that reminds us the best of who we are and who we can be. That is the commitment I want all of us to be making as we leave here tonight. And so And I know you're listening, right? We are coming for you. As I tell you, I was in med school while Mike Rogers was in Congress. This is a guy who's never seen a check from a pharmaceutical lobbyist he didn't want to cash. He sent our campaign a cease and desist for calling him a pharma lobbyist. But I don't know if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, quack, quack, smells like a duck. How am I supposed to know it's a goose? So look, forgive me, Mike. I just know that you spend so much time with pharma lobbyists, I just thought you were one. You've taken so much money for them to raise our prescription drug prices. I just thought that you just got into business. After all, you haven't really explained how you made $14 million golfing in Florida. Unless it was trading on all the government relationships you built when you were in Congress. So I don't know, maybe 14 million wasn't enough. You gotta come back, get some more relationships and trade on them too? This is a guy who has never seen a check from a corporation he did not want to corrupt himself with. Get him on goal! And here's the thing about it. He can't decide which era of Republican he wants to be from. On the one hand, he was from the neocon era that had us fighting unnecessary wars in Iraq, swore up and down he could never support Donald Trump, then went to Mar-a-Lago when he decided to run for Senate the first time, and licked all the boots until he finally got that Trump endorsement. So he's both the worst of the neocon era and the worst of the MAGA era, and I just think that's the worst of all. Because at least you should know who you are. But I promise you, Mike, by the time we are done with you, all of Michigan is going to know who you are. You are a corporate sellout. Who's not a pharma lobbyist, but really, really might want to be one someday. Who voted to raise our prescription drug prices. Who supported wars we don't need to fight. Who tried to shut down our bridges. Who wants to stand in the way of our unions. Who should never see the inside of the U.S. Senate. So friends, we're going to have to wait a little longer to see the outcome of this race. But as I look in front of me, I already see the outcome of this campaign. A community of people who came together around a set of ideals, built on the foundation of what this government was supposed to be in the first place. Government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And as I think about where we sit in the long arc of our history, it's hard not to reflect on the fact that we just commemorated 250 years. And we all know those 250 years weren't perfect. We all know that a lot of that history was built on a set of foundational errors. And at the same time, I can't help but appreciate the fact that I know what America gave me. America is an incredible place. I used to live the contrapositive of the life I was supposed to live when I spent summers in Egypt. I crossed 15 hours and 10 years difference in life expectancy. But for the accident of being born here, I got the opportunity to get vaccinated against diseases that killed 2 of my aunts and uncles I otherwise never met. I got to go to amazing public schools. I got to go to an incredible public university. I got my medical education paid for by the NIH. And at the same time, growing up just 15 minutes away from me, children whose families had been here far longer than mine, who never got those same opportunities. America can do glorious things, but to love America isn't just to dress up in some colors and pretend that everything's fine. Yep. To love America is to will America to do the hard work of being better. If you love America, you want America to be America for all of her kids. And as I think about those past 250 years, those errors, slavery, Jim Crow, the fact that this country was built without giving women equal access to citizenship for years, continued discrimination against people. The thing our country has always done, better than anyone else, is that we've been able to look those failures in the eye and correct them. It's not because we ignore our challenges. The greatness of America is the ability to see those challenges and fix them. And 250 years on, as we think about where we go from here, it is that ability to correct that we together have embraced in this movement. We live in an era of historical inequality, in an era where union participation is near an all-time low, but the number of billionaires has never been higher. An era where schools continue to carry the consequences of historical segregation. An era where we continue to see a few very small people try to define America as being as small as they are. We can't control the past 250 years. What we can do is build the next 250. And to do that, it's going to mean movements like this one, of the people, by the people, and for the people, with a distinct purpose of taking on the challenges that we face. Those movements have never been more important than they are right now. I look in front of me and I see all kinds of colors, all kinds of stories coming together around the idea that we can have nice things, we just can't do it alone. That to have them, we're going to need to reach across the divides they tell us we can't reach. Divides of race, of faith, of geography, of sexual orientation, gender identity, to build together what we want to hand off to our kids and our grandkids. And for the past 15 months, I've had the privilege of being a part of that movement with all of you. And so as we continue forward, for the next 13 weeks, I am asking you to put your shoulder in the work to make sure that we defeat Mike Rogers, we defeat and send a blow to Trumpism, and we do the work of building that next 250 years that all of us deserve, because at some point, whether you know them or you don't, the future will ask you, what did you do in this moment? For me, it looks like two little girls, ethnically half Indian like their mom, ethnically half Egyptian like me, 100% American. And I want to tell them, when they asked, that I got to work with so many incredible people who believed in the best of America, so that we could hand it off to them and all of their kids and grandkids. Ask yourself what we could be if we treated all our kids like they were all our kids. Ask yourself what it would mean when it comes to where we spend our tax dollars, about the schools we build, the health care we provide, the opportunities we would want. And for the next 13 weeks, and the next 6 years after that, I'm asking you to join me in helping to build that America. We should know who the victor will be tomorrow. And the work starts anew. And so for one last time for this primary, money out of? Pocket. Money in your? Pocket. Medicare for? Let's go win. Thank you so much.
All right, yeah. Okay, guys, I'll be live tomorrow from Los Angeles, California. And it's been a very eventful night. I have to obviously get packed up and ready to go in a couple hours. So we'll end it here, if I can even end it here. And yeah, we'll break down. We'll have the final results by tomorrow, hopefully. And you know, I'll give you all of my insight.
A few moments later.
This is an NBC News special report. I'm Steve Kornacki. American voters in 5 states hit the polls on Tuesday, and I've got some major results to share with you, starting in the state of Michigan, where Abdul El-Sayed has won the Democratic primary for the United States Senate. He defeats Congresswoman Haley Stevens. This was a very close race here. You can see there are still a scattering of votes to be counted, but El-Sayed currently leading Stevens